Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back in the Kansas, but we have a special guest tonight. Some of you may know him, some of you probably have never heard of him, but he is my good friend, Soviet Death. We've been gaming together for quite a while, several years in fact. Longer than even me and Peak and Aaron have been gaming, if you can believe that. He's not somebody that shows up on the channel very often, mainly because he's a busy guy and we don't get to game together very often and our schedules often, opposite one another's. But this was one of those rare times where I happened to wake up in the middle of the night and all of a sudden, pow! I get an invite. Randomly, I know, from none other than Soviet Death. And I'm like, that's odd. But he hits me up and we actually ended up getting several games recorded. Multiple games in the Kansas, by the way, so keep an eye out for those. Y'all know I love my Kansas, and this one is no slouch. This one is just the perfect example of how ridiculously good the Kansas is. It's so good that even a potato like me can make this ship look amazing. That's how good this ship is, okay? I know a lot of people don't like the Kansas, and that's fine. And the best part about World of Warships Legends is there's enough different ships out there, especially at, Tier 7 and below. We won't get into Tier 8 and Legendary Tier because those tend to be saturated by the same 2 or 3 ships. But at Tier 7 and below, there's enough variety out there that you can have your own opinions on what ships are great and what ships are not. That's the beauty of the game. There's a lot of people that like a lot of ships that I hate. Y'all know this. It's no secret that I don't like the German battleships. It's no secret that I don't really care for the Italian battleships. But that's the thing. There's a lot of you out there that do. You guys love it. You guys swear by them. They're the greatest in the game. And that's the beauty of the game. And we can all agree to disagree when we don't necessarily find the same things in a ship entertaining. For me, I value consistency, and that's why the American battleships are just where I love it. There are no more consistent battleships than the Americans. Are they the best battleships? I mean, that's up for debate. I think they are, but, there's plenty of people that think they aren't. And, you guys all have your valid opinions. And, and I've never claimed to be anything more than above average at the game. That's the funny thing that I get a lot of people. A lot of people have this notion of two things. One, they think I'm this amazing player, which I am not, and I've never claimed to be. Also, Eastern Dragon, you cannot do this. Come on. He got away with it once, but not twice. You can't do that. But anyway, there's a lot of people that have a notion of one of two things with me. One, they think I'm the greatest player that's ever existed, and I wholeheartedly disagree with this because I know better. I know where I stand in the grand scheme of things. I'm an entertainer first and foremost. I enjoy playing the game, despite it being incredibly frustrating at times. Also, hello Bismarck. Let me see how this feels. Yep, that's Kansas things for you right there. Perfect example of what the Kansas can do. Dude's slightly over-angled, we aim for upper side plating and superstructure, and we absolutely smash the man for over 20,000 damage with a single salvo and not a citadel. That's what the Kansas brings to the table. And it doesn't matter what range you're at. You can, well, actually it kind of does. If you're further away, I feel like the Kansas drops off. Why is that? Why is it that when you get further away with the Kansas, it drops off? Well, I'll explain it. First of all, you get shredded the further away you get. Well, what do you mean you get shredded, Spartan? It's a big old ship. She thick. She wide. She's got a lot of deck space, and there's a lot of interesting little, spots in the armor scheme that catch rounds from distance. So plunging fire to this ship is devastating. So you don't want to be sitting at 17 or 18 kilometers in your Kansas. Okay? You want to be moving around, putting yourself in a position where you can take advantage of crossfires, obviously. You got to keep in mind that Kansas isn't fast. She's not slow. Everybody always, ooh, she's so slow. I mean, we're doing 18.5 knots, so maybe there's an argument to be made there, but I mean, we did just throttle jockey some torpedoes, and we're currently maneuvering the ship. The ship does lose a lot of speed in turns, but she also turns pretty well for a battleship. which is something that, you know, Iowa doesn't do very well, Missouri doesn't do very well, Montana and Maine, God bless America, they're terrible when it comes to turning. But the Kansas, she does the Dreadnought Shuffle pretty freaking well. And boy, when she gets these guns on target, it doesn't matter who's on the receiving end, they're gonna know about it. Doesn't matter if you're up against Yami, Musashi, Republique, Bismarck, Iowas, anything out there, it does not matter. Cruisers, battleships, destroyers, they all fear the Kansas when it comes to a Kansas broadside. A Kansas broadside is devastating. No matter what you're in, if you get yourself caught by a Kansas, you will, if you're lucky, you'll live to tell the tale. But more often than not, you're going back to port in a hurry. She's nasty. But the thing is, she's incredibly niche in how she's utilized. A lot of people just don't understand how to use her. And that goes the same for the Montana, the Maine, the Iowa, Missouri, most of the American battleships. They don't overmatch things, right? Like, it's not like you get the incredible ability to overmatch all the battleships or anything like you do in Yami and Musashi. Like, you don't get that. So what you end up with is a ship that you have to actually know where weak points are on ships. And you have to exploit those weak points. You also have to, and I do mean this, have to, by the way, can we just appreciate the 4K right now? Oh my god, this looks amazing with the freaking ray tracing on. Now, obviously, they did just release the 4K 60 FPS, but you have to turn ray tracing off if you want the 4K 60. I'll stick with 4K 30 with ray tracing. For now. This game looks fantastic with ray tracing. Like, it really does. But anyway, back to what we were talking about. You have to pay attention to what's going on the map. You have to. Notice that I turned around. Look at everybody else on my team. Where are they going? They're all flowing to the side that I just beat up, right? I am the only person who has the foresight to go, oh my god, they're pushing into our cap. We should turn around and defend. I'm the only one. Maybe the cruiser that's right here with me is paying attention. And we're obviously getting some shots from the guys over there as well, but I'm the only one that puts myself in a position to counter this push into our cap. And we immediately make the King George pay for being broadside to us. We're reloading our guns, and obviously we have a bit of a longer reload, but it's a manageable reload. It's not awful. And you can see, even from a German 16-inch battleship over there, the battle cruiser, like, as long as you're not an idiot, the Kansas is incredibly tanky. Okay, and by tanky, I mean you're gonna take pins, obviously. It's gonna be a thing. Also, Le Fantasque, I screwed up. Sometimes I forget how fast those freaking ships are. Now, obviously, we know he's torping. We actually have some hydro support from a cruiser here, getting those torps lit up, and we're gonna try to hit the gap here, but we are definitely gonna take a torp. Which brings us to the next point. Oh, wait. Are we gonna take the torp? Come on, Spartan Touch! Oh yeah, steering gears all day long. I don't care about you propulsion noobs. Obviously, I'm being facetious. Relax. All you super Unicum players that throttle jockey. Yeah, whatever. I'll stick with steering gears. Anyway. We have turned around, we have completely annihilated the enemy's push, and now we get to turn back and go back towards that side. That side wasn't pushing. Look at their positioning on their team. Their whole team is surrounding their cap. They are in a defensive position. So they're not a threat to our team. So that's why we were able to come back, defend our flank, and also, hello, Le Fantasque. That looks like a torpedo that's gonna hurt. Nope, never mind. Well, I might as well get ready. Okay, they finished. I figured they would, but unfortunately, they do manage to kill our shores in the process. That Iowa does. But anyway, like I said, the enemy puts themselves, you gotta recognize, use the mini-map to your advantage. Look at what the enemy is doing and pay attention. When you're in these slower ships, you can still be incredibly useful as long as you're paying attention. You dictate the engagements, okay? Don't let the enemy dictate the engagements. You turn around and catch them while they're pushing in. You defend your cap, and you saw what the Kansas can do. In a matter of a couple of salvos, the entire enemy flank has collapsed. That is the power of the Kansas. There aren't very many ships that can do that quickly. Now, obviously, my gunnery needs a little work here as we miss these cruisers and such. But you can see I'm also not overextending. This is another perfect example. These are games that are losable, 100% losable. We got a full health Iowa out here. We got 2 DPM cruisers behind islands that are just begging to beat us up. Now here, I make a mistake. I shoot at the Iowa thinking that I can pin it, and I do get a good hit here, but look at the amount of shatters and ricochets that we got. That's because a lot of those shells hit the belt. I needed to aim that a little bit higher or aim ahead of the thickest part of the belt, which is the bow side plating. Now again, this all comes down to experience and knowing where the weak spots are on ships. He is angled. Even though he's over-angled, he is still angled enough that if I hit that belt, I'm not going through. Case in point, perfect example coming right up. I aim straight for a waterline and bonk! Yeah, look at that. 5 shatters and a ricochet. Only 2 pins. So keep that in mind. Like, this is one of those perfect examples of just exactly how you need to pay attention and you need to place. Now, we've made the Iowa back off. Between me and Soviet and the guys behind us, we made the Iowa pull back. We have Will to Rebuild going, so these fire spammers aren't that dangerous to us. That's the brokenness that is Will to Rebuild, unfortunately. So for you fire spammers, you got to learn that if somebody's giving you a broadside, maybe switch to AP. You'd be surprised how effective light cruiser AP can be. Now, obviously, here we hit that superstructure, and that's just another prime example of just Kansas being Kansas. Like, Kansas and Montana and Maine, with the groupings that they get with their shells, like, you can farm superstructures like nobody's business. Like, nobody's business. Now, here you can see that Soviet kind of stepped up, and me and Soviet are actually kind of trading places here. Each of us have pulled forward and been shot at quite a bit, and then the other one falls back a little bit, gets themselves out of harm's way, and then we switch back and forth. Now, the Bismarck, which I believe is somebody who watches the channel, because I'm fairly confident he actually left a comment a couple of days ago saying he got in my match and he was the Bismarck and yada, yada, yada. So, well done to him, because he recognizes, hey, I've got the hit points, I'm going to go forward, let these guys, you know, heal up a little bit, keep themselves alive. I'll take the brunt of the firepower for now, and then let our gun platforms do what they do. You know, Kansas has been incredibly effective, up to 140,000 damage. We got 3 kills. We're going for a superstructure hit here, folks. I ain't looking for giant damage, but we don't need giant damage. You can see I chip away at him. He's got just about 6,000 or 7,000 hit points left. Remember, each one of those little lines that you see on a ship's hit point pool, when you see their health bar, each one of those lines is 5,000 hit points. A lot of people don't know that. These are the basic things that wargaming doesn't tell it or doesn't explain to people. But as you progress into the game and the more you play, the more you start to realize this. So these things are the things that I try to like show you guys. I can't teach you like super advanced techniques of the super Unicum guys, because that's not me. I don't have that. That's not who I can't do that. What I can do is pass along basic information that everybody should be able to know, and you'd be surprised how many people don't know that sort of stuff. And that's why I try to mix those little tips in with my entertainment so that you guys can all enjoy, have a good laugh, have some fun, see some big hits, and maybe learn something along the way. And that is the beauty of Spartan Elite in a nutshell. Am I crazy? Yes. Y'all know that. Y'all know. I ain't hiding it. I'm crazy. Y'all know it. But I'm not completely useless, which brings me to the other side of the thing. Now, there's a lot of folks out there that are under the impression that I am the worst player on the planet. And let's be honest, even those people can't sit here and say that. Like, they say it, but they don't mean it, because every single one of them that has been in a fight with me, unless it just happens to be one of those games where, you know, the entire lobby focuses me, or I get caught with a destroyer that just shows up out of nowhere, or something along those lines, unless it's something like that, I can put up a heck of a fight for somebody who's a potato, alright? So, don't underestimate this potato, is what I'm saying. You'd be surprised how many people get caught out by underestimating me. Case in point. He thought he was safe. He was wrong. And just like that, we got 4 kills. We got 163,000 damage in the Kansas. Yeah, not bad for a potato. And now it's the moment that we've all been waiting for. Will I be able to pull it off? We've got 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Pull the trigger. Come on, Spartan. Oh my god, I about flubbed the shot. Oh, those railguns, though. Kansas does it again. Quicken! So thank you guys so much for joining me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the match. Hopefully you guys had a good time. That's the goal every day, is to have a good time. 165,000 damage, Kraken, Fireproof Confederate, Dreadnought, High Cal, Kraken Unleashed, Death Strike, all the medals, 2,600 base XP, not too bad. So GG to Blaze in the Bismarck, GG to Soviet Death in the Bismarck, and well done to the Atago that was on our team as well. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.